All right, folks, good afternoon and welcome on back here this Wednesday, April 20th. Great to see Michael, Gary, Jeffrey just before. Hopefully, he's short on AMC. Great to see Norman. Great to see Felix, Robert, all of us rejoining us perhaps live inside the Cyber Group room. Chuck and Will and Brian included. All of them can hear me loud and clear. And hopefully, you can hear me loud and clear as well if you're rejoining us on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube. Folks, let's hop right into it. We have class finishing up later on today at 3:05 Eastern Time. I say finishing up because we are finishing up the Phase 1 stock course today. We'll resume class next week, Phase 2. That's more of our intermediate-based classes. But here in this afternoon's class, we're going to really dive into journaling your trades, not just, why it's so important to journal, but more importantly, how actually to journal your trades and study them afterwards. It might sound a little annoying to do, like a chore to do on a day to day basis, but it is the most important thing to do in order to actually progress as a trader here. So I look forward to that class. We'll go over a couple of trades that I ended up taking myself and we'll journal them. But for right now, LGVN, Lagavulin, as I like to nickname it, not the Scotch whiskey, but Long Everin Inc., LGVN. Ended up making a really nice pop shortly after the open. At the time, it was kind of low volume, so really it was more heading into the mid afternoon once it broke above resistance off of 12. Took off beautifully. For right now, just keep your focus on the whole number levels, if anything, 50 cent and whole number levels. But yeah, LGVN definitely just looks good to put on our list here to begin. All right, looking at the weekly chart so much because, daily, weekly, either way, it's to say back from early this month, we ended up seeing from the end of March, early April, we ended up seeing Lagavulin here make a spike all the way up as high as 1677 before ultimately pulling back down. Let me jump to a daily. Yeah, there's no real resistance here to kind of work off of. If you want to focus on a chart level, maybe this bottom as a potential support, 1522, this bottom from back in December. Well, obviously it broke above it here, topped off this day at 1677, but yeah, 1520-ish could be a daily chart level to watch overhead. Either way, right now, it's actually not looking great on the intraday, dropping off pretty sharply here. Hey, it'll be on our list. Hopefully this begins to squeeze back up and above 13 shortly. We'll go right from top to bottom. Otherwise, though, folks, we got to scan pretty quick. Make sure that myself and all of our students at least have enough time to prep and join, get ready for class. But we'll go right from the top. Any of the other stocks that we ended up trading, calling out, doing well on, doing bad on. We'll recap it briefly. The IO trade here, hey, we were following this a bit in pre-market. It didn't make the main morning watch list with good reason, but hey, it still could have been a stock to call out after the open, but ended up dropping off shortly after the first pop. So popped after the market opened up. From there, completely tanked, dropped all the way down towards 50. Hey, little bounce play here heading into the early afternoon, but right now, lower highs, expect to see a lower low. CRXT making a bit of a, you could say support, but certainly lower highs at this point. Ended up making a great run from earlier this morning, at least. Ended up bottoming out right around that 170-ish, 175 price. But from there, broke a higher high, took off, ended up running up beautifully off of 2, ended up exploding all the way up towards, almost 4, topped off at 394 there. I don't think this one got halted. I could be wrong. I don't think, if my memory serves me correctly, I don't think this actually even got halted in either direction, up or down. This was just running as is. I mean, there was a trade from earlier today that ended up getting halted. I think that was the ALVR trade, which we'll get to, I think, next. That one didn't work out so well after it reopened. Either way, for this one, ended up running up without the halt, ran down without the halt too, but it just goes to show when the volume dies off on a stock. I mean, we talked about it this morning in the phase 1 course. When the volume dies off for a trade, typically so does the stock itself. BAOS. All right, no brainer. This one goes on our list here. Looks incredible, making a big pop right now, even over the last 10 or so minutes, from like 90 cents upwards of $1.30. So it's already made such a big move. This could get halted pretty shortly from now, or otherwise, again, much like that CRXT trade, just be wary of the volume dying off suddenly on this type of stock. But yeah, I mean, hey, for the afternoon, looks just incredible. All right, we keep it going, folks. The ALVR trade ended up making a great move from after the market opened up. You can see this is my main actual trading platform because I ended up lining this whole chart up. So it's to say that this one ended up having a great entry level off of 683. This dashed purple line actually represented a pretty strong bottom that we had back from late January extending into mid-March, roughly around 682, 683. Well, hey, in pre-market, it broke above that resistance you'd hope to see initially becomes support. It did so, ended up leading to a great trade afterwards. That's where I ended up jumping in at first when the market opened up. From there, thankfully, it led to a really good pop. I ended up getting stuck in the halt, which was a good thing at the time, but it got really choppy and shaky around there. So it ended up working out well. I ended up getting out of my position just in portions around 750 to 770. Ended up breaking higher. I ended up taking another few trades after, but I ended up getting stopped out for a loss on the last two. This was later on here at this point, just in the sequence. So, hey, I ended up taking a loss. All right, no problem. It was off a great level. That yellow line at 783 was a huge print level from earlier this morning. So I thought there was a chance that could hold as support, try and make run back up. All right, well, you take two losses in a row on the same exact trade, you look to move on. And from that point, whew, this thing tanked. Jeez. All right, so what goes up obviously comes back down. We saw it on CRXT, and here it is now in the ALVR trade. Popped, dropped. Let me get rid of all these other lines here. Don't make it as confusing for you folks here. But for right now, this afternoon, it's just extremely flat. Wouldn't I would expect this stock to drop off even more heading into the close. All right, RDBX, my trader's dyslexia. I'm getting this mixed up with RBLX on the losers list, Roblox. But RDBX Redbox Entertainment ended up making a big pop shortly after 1 o'clock Eastern from 2 upwards to 265 ish. Hey, a lot of volume just got filled recently over the last 3 or 5 minutes here. So that looks good. That looks interesting. Well, that could be a lot of volume filled off the top, and this could be well on its way down here from this point. So, hey, given the afternoon move, I'll put it on our list at least to begin. Just be really careful around that 250 level in particular. All right, we keep it going, we keep it moving. HCSG. There we go. Ended up making a nice little pop from earlier this morning. I don't know. I don't think this is a buyout, but it doesn't appeal that much to me right now. If this was much closer to the highs compared to where it's at now, ended up just dropping off pretty sharply from 2050. Bobby says LLAP got halted today also alongside the ALVR trade. Yeah, this one ended up making a nice run shortly after the open as well. Ended up popping off of the 550 level. Ended up topping off right around that 8 mark too. So let's see. 1008, 1009, 1010, 1015. That's how you could tell this got halted. So yeah, this got halted right here at the price 763. It reopened up 5 minutes later, opening halt print off 75, and right back down. So nice run from earlier today. Great run even from yesterday, right? I'm not thrilled about this for the afternoon. Maybe keep it on your side list tomorrow, but even truth be told, like, to see such a big pop back to back days and then it dropped all the way back down like this rarely doesn't make a good move again the following day. I think it'll only continue to dump off more. CELZ, nice little pop after the open. Little pop here. A lot of volume that actually came in off that spike. That looked interesting at first. But right back down it goes. CVM, same thing. Cano, Robbie Cano. Nope, nothing there. All right, let's hop on over to the losers list, folks. Maybe just one or two more here if there's any familiar names. PTPI. Nope. All right, let's hop on over to the losers list here in the meantime, folks. The Netflix trade obviously down big. Roblox, Shopify, Roku, all major name brand stocks down big off respective earnings. So, of course, Netflix down 36+% at this point. It's a much more expensive stock. I'm going to be teaching class. If I was not teaching class, I would not be trading Netflix personally because my personal price range is more between 1 and 30. But given how active Netflix is right now, given the steady downtrend Netflix is on right now, if you're doing more, option puts, perhaps that could be a less expensive way to trade this type of stock. But yeah, Netflix, just given the overall activity, definitely I'll put it on the main list. This is an ETF, FNGU, so it's at the lows, near the lows. But much like we talked about in class back on Monday this week, it's really hard to apply level 3 to an ETF or ETN, even this being an ETN. But yeah, it makes it really difficult. If you have your own strategies and you do really well on ETFs, that's one thing. Again, another FANGs one here, BULZ, Bulls. So these two move together, seems like FNGU and BULZ. Roblox, not an ETF. This one dropping back down a bit, much like the Netflix trade, a lot more within our price range, unlike Netflix. So Roblox definitely looking interesting. Is this at all-time lows? Looks like it is. It is. All right, so Roblox easy to borrow near the lows for the day today, which would be essentially an all-time low. I mean, if you want to go back to last month, 3604 was the bottom there. The bottom today, 3605. It is right there. All right. Shopify is a little expensive. I mean, Netflix obviously is already on our list, but I'm going to put one stock that's really expensive on there. We'll stick with Netflix. FSLY. FSLY definitely right within the wheelhouse in terms of price, right at the lows of the day today. Looks like all-time lows. Yeah, it's approaching all-time lows, it looks like here. Back from March of 20, bottomed out at 1063. It's got a ways to go. It's got a bit of a ways to go. Few bucks away as I switch back to a daily chart now. This thing ended up bottoming out back in mid-March, bottomed out even there at 1301. But hey, as a short, still looks pretty interesting at the intraday lows right now. Not really a big iceberg order representing support on the bid. So, we'll watch to see if there's any big support coming up, right? But for right now, looks good. FSLY. All right, where is it? Where is it? I got a couple of other familiar names here, but I want to look at AMC. Where's my AMC guy here today? Because he wasn't here yesterday. AMC was making a much better move going up yesterday. It's actually a really good short for this afternoon. I ended up clocking out on AMC before we started this meeting on a short trade from 18. Peloton, as we just go through the loser side here in between, but Peloton dropping down and once again here, hey, looking pretty good, similar to the FSLY, perhaps looking similar to AMC if that's still dropping down. Peloton looks interesting. My Neo trade, this doesn't look too active right now. It's at the lows and it's down over 8%. So, that makes it really interesting to follow, but it's slow. It's slower compared to what I normally like to see Neo at. So, this is just me being as transparent as I can possibly be. I said it the other day for, a couple of our side list stocks. Like, don't fall in love with just one stock, folks. I love AMC, right? Or I love Neo, right? Well, hey, it's just even too slow for my liking right now. It's typically moves a little bit faster. AMC, you could say it's like moving at its normal pace, but this one's pretty much right at the lows. In fact, it just broke lower a moment ago. So I feel like that could be a better short if we're comparing apples to oranges here, AMC or Neo. So I'll put AMC on the main list in particular. Let's see if there's any other side list stocks that look even better. DraftKings looking very similar to AMC. It's actually down more percentage wise. Robinhood. Robinhood is down, just as much at the lows right now. Not at all-time lows yet, but it's getting closer day by day. I could easily add both DraftKings and Robinhood to this list. I really can. I want to see if there's anything looking even more convincing, perhaps. Looking at the airlines or cruise lines. American Airlines not doing it. CCL's barely down anything right now. So I'm going to pass on those. Palantir, garbage. Ford. Check out Ford. It's at the lows, but it's so slow. It's not really worth it for me there. Para from Bobby on YouTube, Bobby J, rejoining us. Para, it's like flat right now for a $33 stock. In terms of opportunity cost, it's not as if we only focus on the cheapies here at CTU. The stocks that are like between 1 and 5. I mean, hell, I had a blast on Twitter the last week and a half, but right now, even for Twitter, it's a $45 stock. They should be moving a lot faster compared to what it's doing now. It's not worth the squeeze. So same to be said there, like on Para. Made a great drop off this morning, but for a $33 stock, it's not really doing much of anything right now. Brian calling out the Sofi trade. Well, the gripe on Sofi, Brian, is that it's so slow. So, hey, when this was a $10, $13, $15 stock, it was really liquid and it was moving a little bit faster compared to what it's doing now. Dropped off in price. And typically with that, a rule of thumb is that it becomes even more liquid. Actually, just quickly here, a quick little side story. Before Neo took off and blasted up to $70 last year, folks, it was like a $2 stock. This thing was as slow as freaking molasses. It was as slow as can be right here, Neo back in 19 and 20. So, that's where I say, hey, Sofi, we love trading Sofi every now and then, especially if it's off of news. But, the cheaper this becomes, it will move in a smaller range per day. It'll become even more liquid than what it even is now. And it's kind of tough to trade that type of trade there. Kind of tough to trade that type of stock, I should say. BAOS Robert in and out for about 13 or so cents himself inside our live trading room, that is. He got in from 129, out at 142. Oh, a penny under the high there, Robert. Nice grab. All right, folks, I think that just about wraps it up for me here. I don't see anything else across YouTube, Facebook Live, or the live trading room collectively. I think that we did our homework. I think that we're just about good to go. CELZ, lastly, this one not looking great. Just wanted to check this one out lastly before we close out. All right, folks, for all of us inside the live trading room, or at least our students that have access to the Phase 1 curriculum lined up at 3:05 Eastern Time, I know that Rich will post the link for that for you folks coming up pretty shortly. If you want to make sure that you could just access the class, make sure that you're squared away on the audio and tech side of things, just join early, and I'll join very shortly from now. I just need to sign out from YouTube, Facebook Live, post our picks, and then I'll be in the class with all of you there. All right, so for all of us on Facebook and YouTube Live, I appreciate you sticking with me each and every day, each and every afternoon. You can always send over a question via email to josh@ctutrading.com. I always like to post my email here at the end of these streams, or look to at least. But otherwise, if you wanted to continue the audio commentary with us later on this afternoon, tomorrow, or even next week, just go right down to the yellow or to the link on the yellow banner below right there to get yourself started on a small trial. But for Nina and Norman and Michael and Grant and Roger, I look forward to seeing you all, if not in the live trading room shortly from now, then just in class.
Become a Cyber Group member today. Just click the link below and receive all these amazing products and a world of knowledge for just